Hello and welcome to January 6th, where we're reading Genesis 13 through 16. These chapters cover Abraham and Lot's property disputes. It covers the appearance of a man named Melchizedek, and then he disappears for about the rest of the Bible. Then we cover a firm covenant established by God with Abraham, the first definite covenant established between God and man, other than Noah's. And ultimately, man's attempt to force God's hand and make the promises of God happen outside of God's time frame. That will not go very well, but we'll cover that in just a minute. There's a lot of good here, there's some bad here, and a lot of issues that are going to crop up in the future. And so, let's give you a slightly more detailed breakdown of each of those chapters. Genesis 13 covers Abram and Lot, technically, as they have too much property, and so they split up. They go different directions. Abram goes to Hebron, I believe, and Lot goes down to Sodom, which will not end well in a few chapters, but we'll get there in, I think, tomorrow's reading. Abram, in chapter 14, has to go in and rescue Lot. Lot got dragged into a local war, a civil war between some of those people, and so Abram had to step up and go rescue his nephew, Lot, which was excellent on his behalf. He ends up encountering a man named Melchizedek, a very curious figure who we will see more of in Hebrews, and that's about it. And so Melchizedek shows up, and then he leaves again, and there are great theological points to make that I will let the Hebrews writer go ahead and make. In chapter 15, God comes down and speaks to Abraham very directly and makes a covenant and promises certain things and really promises very strongly to fulfill the covenant, even going so far as to say that he will die like an animal if he fails to fulfill his promises to Abram. It's a very interesting chapter, and it shows that God is serious when he talks to Abram. And ultimately, then Sarah steps in, Abraham's wife. She steps in and tries to fulfill the plan of God. Hey, God promised us a son. Let's make that happen. And so she gives Hagar to Abram. Abram has Ishmael by Hagar instead of by Sarah. He is not the child of promise, even though Sarah tried to make him so. And so there is a confusing situation, but God says, no, Abraham, wait, and I'll give you the child of promise, Isaac, when you're ready for it. It'll be a few chapters yet. We'll see him a little bit later, but that's it for now. If that was a good summary, then good. I hope that the chapters make sense to you. If you want a longer version, there's always a written version over on my written page. And if not, I'll see you tomorrow, January 7th, where we are covering Genesis 17 through 19.